The Alamo, 1960, stands as a cinematic masterpiece, bringing the legendary 1836 battle to life with unforgettable performances. Now, 65 years later, many wonder what became of the film's iconic cast. How did their careers evolve, and where are they now in 2025? From on-screen triumphs to personal journeys, we take a closer look at the lives of these stars, exploring their lasting impact on Hollywood and beyond. Join us as we uncover the stories of the actors who made the Alamo a classic, and find out what happened to them after the credits rolled. John Wayne, who portrayed Colonel Davy Crockett in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 53, is a legendary figure in Hollywood, yet his personal life was riddled with heartache. Known for his stoic, heroic characters, Wayne faced a series of personal struggles. He married 3 times, first to Josephine Saenz, with whom he had 4 children, but their marriage ended in divorce after 13 years due to Wayne's emotional distance and numerous infidelities. His second marriage to actress Esperanza Bauer was brief, and his third marriage to Pilar Pallet, while lasting longer, was marred by his dedication to work, leaving little time for family. His personal battles extended to his health, as he suffered from chronic pain, and in 1964, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, which further weighed on his life. Wayne's declining health culminated in his death on June 11, 1979, at the age of 72, from stomach cancer. Despite his iconic on-screen roles, Wayne's personal life was far from the heroic image he portrayed, marked by divorces, health struggles, and emotional isolation. Laurence Harvey, who portrayed Colonel William Barrett Travis in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 32, had a promising career that was overshadowed by personal pain and early death. Harvey's role as the young, idealistic leader Travis captured his charm and talent, but his life was marred by repeated personal tragedies. Harvey married 3 times, with his first marriage to actress Margaret Leighton ending in divorce after just a few years, and his second marriage to Pauline Stone was fraught with emotional distance, largely due to Harvey's insecurities and emotional struggles. Harvey also faced a troubled relationship with his only daughter, Domino, whom he struggled to connect with. In his final years, Harvey's career began to fade as he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, a diagnosis that would define the tragic final chapter of his life. His health deteriorated rapidly, and he passed away on November 25, 1973, at the age of 45, leaving a legacy of unfulfilled potential and a career cut tragically short. Richard Widmark, who played Colonel Jim Bowie in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 46, enjoyed a distinguished career, yet his personal life was shadowed by profound loss and struggles. Widmark's portrayal of the determined, fearless Bowie was a career highlight, but behind the scenes, his life was filled with grief. Widmark married Jean Hazelwood, and their marriage lasted over 50 years, but it was tested by tragedy when the couple lost their daughter. This devastating loss cast a long shadow over their lives and affected Widmark deeply. As his career began to slow in the 1980s, Widmark faced increasing health problems, and the passing of his beloved wife Jean in 1997 left him devastated. His health deteriorated rapidly, and he became reclusive in his final years. He passed away on March 24, 2008, at the age of 93, after complications from a fall. Frankie Avalon, who played Smitty in the Alamo, 1960, at the age of 20. Smitty's youthful optimism and eagerness stood in stark contrast to the grim reality of the Alamo, representing the spirit of the volunteers. Despite his early success as a pop idol in the 1950s and 1960s, Avalon's career quickly stagnated due to typecasting and a lack of diverse roles. His personal life mirrored this instability. Married to actress Kathleen Murray in 1963, their relationship was rocky, leading to a divorce in the 1970s. Avalon also struggled with addiction, which impacted both his career and family life. Though he tried to revive his career with television roles, he faced continued setbacks. Now, at 84 years old in 2025, Avalon lives quietly, far from the limelight, having weathered both personal and professional crises throughout his life. Joan OBrien, who played Mrs. Sue Dickinson in The Alamo, 1960, was 24 years old when she began the role, bringing a youthful energy to the strong, resilient character who represents the women who endured the Alamo siege. Despite her promising start in Hollywood, O'Brien's personal life was fraught with turmoil. She married Robert O'Brien, but their relationship was riddled with infidelity, alcoholism, and emotional strain. They had 2 children, Jennifer and Peter, but the marriage ended in divorce, and O'Brien's subsequent relationships also suffered. Her career, which had started with roles in films like The Alamo, faltered, and she found herself struggling both financially and emotionally. By 2025, at 89 years old, O'Brien leads a quiet life, away from the public eye, often reflecting on a career and marriage that never fulfilled her early potential. The weight of her personal and professional challenges remains a poignant part of her story, overshadowing the resilience she once portrayed on screen. Patrick Wayne, who portrayed Captain James Butler Bonham in The Alamo, 1960, at the age of 21. Bonham's unwavering courage and loyalty in the film were a reflection of Wayne's own dedication to his craft, yet his career never reached the iconic status of his father, John Wayne. Although he appeared in numerous westerns and adventure films, he was often overshadowed by his father's legacy. Wayne's personal life was equally troubled, as his marriage to Peggy ended in a painful divorce, and his life was further marred by the tragic death of his son in the 1990s, which sent him into a spiral of grief. The loss of his son deeply affected his mental and emotional well-being, and he also faced financial struggles and health issues in his later years. Now 85 years old in 2025, Patrick Wayne lives in seclusion, haunted by the shadow of his father's fame and the personal tragedies that shaped his life. Linda Cristal, who portrayed Flocka in The Alamo, 1960, at 29. Flocka's strength, resilience, and compassion in the face of the Alamo's brutality were a stark contrast to Cristal's own life, which was filled with personal sorrow. She tragically lost both of her parents in a plane crash when she was young, and this early loss set the stage for the struggles she would face throughout her life. Although she achieved great success in Hollywood, her relationships were marked by abuse and instability, including a painful divorce from American businessman Charles Bellamy. Her health began to decline in the 1980s, and she withdrew from acting. Cristal's later years were marked by financial difficulties, but she found some peace with her family, though her life remained overshadowed by her earlier tragedies. She passed away on June 27, 2020, at the age of 89, after a life filled with both professional success and personal heartache. Chill Wills, who portrayed Beekeeper in The Alamo, 1960, was 58 years old at the time of filming, and his character symbolized loyalty and steadfastness, providing crucial support to Davy Crockett and the defenders of the Alamo. In his own life, Will's career had its highs and lows, but his personal journey was marked by heartbreak. His first marriage ended in divorce due to constant disagreements and financial pressures. Later, his second marriage brought further struggles, including his wife's health issues and his own difficulties in finding consistent work in the changing film industry. Will's later years were overshadowed by health problems, and he was diagnosed with cancer, which ultimately led to his death on December 15, 1978, at the age of 76. Though his career had seen some success, the final years of his life were a stark contrast to the steadfast character he portrayed, ending in physical suffering and emotional exhaustion. Joseph Collier, who played Juan Seguin in The Alamo, 1960, was 63 years old when he began portraying the brave Tejano leader. Juan Seguin's loyalty and courage in the fight for Texas independence mirrored Collia's own dedication to his craft. However, Collia's career did not continue to flourish in his later years. As Hollywood evolved, he found fewer opportunities, and his personal life was filled with its own set of struggles. He married in 1926, but the relationship deteriorated over time, and Collier was left without children or a close family. The financial instability from declining work, coupled with his growing sense of isolation, took a heavy toll on him. Collier passed away on October 31, 1975, at the age of 78, after enduring the quiet suffering of a man whose career had once shone brightly but whose personal life was marked by loneliness and missed opportunities. Jester Harston, who portrayed the wise and compassionate character Jethro in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 59, had a life marked by both professional success and profound personal sorrow. As one of the first African-American actors to break into Hollywood, Harston achieved significant fame, not only for his acting but also for his musical career. However, his personal life was riddled with loss. His first wife passed away prematurely, and his second marriage ended in heartbreak when his wife died in the 1970s. Harston faced the double burden of racial discrimination, which affected his emotional well-being and relationships, contributing to his isolation in his later years. Despite his remarkable career, his final years were filled with personal grief and loneliness. Jester Harston passed away on January 18, 2000, at the age of 98 from natural causes, his passing marking the end of a career that had broken barriers but was overshadowed by the personal sacrifices he had to endure. Ken Curtis, who portrayed Captain Almiron Dickinson in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 44, embodied the character of a determined and courageous leader. Despite his professional success in numerous Western films and television series, Curtis' personal life was plagued by tumultuous relationships and emotional struggles. He was married 4 times, and each of his marriages ended in divorce. His most famous marriage was to actress Toni Curtis, but that too ended in separation. In his later years, Curtis grappled with depression, loneliness, and reclusiveness, which took a toll on his health. His life was a tragic juxtaposition of fame and personal turmoil. Curtis passed away on April 28, 1991, at the age of 74 due to a heart attack. While his on-screen roles showcased his strength and resilience, his real life was marred by deep emotional scars, leaving him to be remembered as a tragic figure who fought battles both on and off the screen. Vera Borg, who portrayed the resilient blind Nell Roberson in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 45, had a career that seemed filled with promise, but her personal life was marked by pain and heartache. Borg's first marriage ended in divorce, and her second marriage was fraught with emotional instability and ultimately ended in separation. As her career slowed in the 1960s, Borg found herself struggling with depression and a sense of isolation. Her physical health also declined, and she was diagnosed with cancer, which would lead to her untimely death. Despite her impressive acting career, including her role in the Alamo, Borg's later years were overshadowed by personal suffering. She passed away on August 16, 1973, at the age of 58 from cancer. Vera Borg's on-screen portrayal of strength and courage was in stark contrast to the personal battles she faced in her private life, leaving her story one of great personal tragedy. John Dirks, who portrayed Jocko Robertson in the Alamo, 1960, at the age of 55. His character, Jocko, was a tragic figure, deeply torn between his duty to his comrades and his emotional commitment to his blind wife. Dirks, a seasoned actor with a career in westerns, faced his own private battles. His personal life, though filled with career achievements, was marred by financial instability and 2 failed marriages. He struggled to provide for his family, and his health deteriorated in the later years of his life. He continued to work despite his worsening cancer diagnosis, leaving behind a family that would have to cope with his death. Dirks passed away on January 8, 1975, at 69 from cancer, without the recognition he deserved, his death overshadowed by the sadness of personal and professional hardships. Hank Wardens, who portrayed Parson in the Alamo, 1960, was 59 years old at the time of filming, playing a kind, wise, and gentle character who offered spiritual guidance to the Alamo defenders. While his on-screen character brought solace to the troops, Warden's personal life was far less peaceful. His 2 marriages ended in sorrow. His first wife left him due to his struggles with alcoholism and emotional neglect, and his second marriage ended similarly, after years of emotional distance. Though he worked steadily throughout his career, often appearing in Western films, Wardens found it difficult to achieve lasting recognition or happiness. financial struggles and health problems plagued his later years, and he lived in relative obscurity. Hank Wardens passed away on December 6, 1992, at the age of 91, from natural causes, a tragic end to a life marked by personal heartache and unresolved struggles. Denver Pyle, who played Thimblerig the Gambler in the Alamo, 1960, at the age of 40. Thimblerig's lively and cunning nature stood in stark contrast to Pyle's personal struggles. A well-known actor on television, particularly for his role in The Dukes of Hazzard, Pyle's personal life was filled with emotional turmoil. He endured a failed marriage, addiction to alcohol, and struggles with his mental health. His battle with cancer in the 1990s was a final chapter marked by physical and emotional pain. Though he found success on screen, his later years were spent fighting loneliness, which ultimately led to his passing. Died on December 25, 1997, at the age of 77 after battling lung cancer. His death, a somber end to a career of many accomplishments, highlighted the personal struggles he faced off-camera, overshadowing his legacy with sorrow. Isa Wayne, who portrayed Lisa Angelica Dickinson in The Alamo, 1960, at the age of 4. Her character embodied innocence, yet her life story was anything but. Born into the shadow of her legendary father, John Wayne, Isa Wayne often felt neglected and emotionally distant from him. Growing up in the glare of her father's fame, she struggled with a lack of connection and attention, leaving her with deep emotional scars. As an adult, she faced the difficulties of failed relationships and ongoing mental health issues, compounded by the pressure of living up to her family's name. Despite raising children of her own, she could never fully escape the shadow of her father's legacy. She is currently 68 years old in 2025, lives quietly, distanced from the public eye, reflecting on a life full of both privilege and personal challenges, never fully able to reconcile her childhood with her adulthood. Wesley Lao, who portrayed Emil Sandy in The Alamo, 1960, was 39 years old when he took on the role of a brave and loyal fighter for Texas independence. In real life, however, Lao faced a series of professional and personal challenges. His career was often marred by typecasting, which limited his opportunities for more substantial roles. Lao married twice, but both marriages ended in separation, with his personal relationships increasingly strained. His bond with his children deteriorated, and he faced deep emotional struggles, including depression. Financial troubles further complicated his life, making it difficult for him to maintain stability. Despite his valiant on-screen portrayal of loyalty and courage, Lao's real life was marked by loneliness and hardship. He passed away on August 30, 1984, at the age of 63. Due to heart failure, his death casting a shadow over a life filled with unrealized potential and personal strife. Gwyn Big Boy Williams, who portrayed Light Irish Finn in The Alamo in 1960 at the age of 61, brought humor, camaraderie, and fighting spirit to his character. However, Williams' own life was a far cry from the tough, dependable persona he played. Despite his success in Western films, his personal life was marked by a series of troubled marriages that ended in divorce. As his career in Hollywood slowed down, Williams faced physical and emotional health struggles. His body, worn out from years of stunt work, grew frail, and his once promising career was marred by personal turmoil. Williams passed away on June 6, 1962, at the age of 63 from uremic poisoning, a cruel and sudden end to a life that had seen both triumphs and deep sorrows. His passing at such a relatively young age left a shadow on the legacy of a man who was once a stalwart figure in the world of Western films. Chuck Roberson, who played the Tennessean in The Alamo in 1960 at the age of 41, embodied the rugged spirit of a loyal frontiersman. His character was defined by bravery and unwavering commitment to his comrades during the battle. Off-screen, Roberson's life mirrored some of the hardships faced by the characters he portrayed. He had a troubled marriage to actress Claire Roberson, which ended in divorce. His career as a stuntman in Western films was filled with both triumphs and failures. He struggled with alcohol and faced personal demons that hindered his ability to achieve long-term happiness. These personal battles overshadowed his successful career and took a toll on his health. Roberson ultimately passed away on June 8, 1988, at the age of 69 after a long battle with cancer. His death marked the end of a life filled with both on-screen glory and personal struggles, leaving a bittersweet legacy of a man who fought both on and off the screen. Olive Carey, who portrayed Mrs. Dennison in The Alamo in 1960 at the age of 64, portrayed a nurturing and strong character, one of the few women who supported the defenders of the Alamo. Her role reflected the strength and resilience of women during a time of war. In her personal life, however, Carey experienced emotional pain and isolation. Despite a long and successful career in film, she faced great personal losses, including the death of her beloved husband, actor Harry Carey Jr., and the emotional strain that came with it. Her later years were marked by loneliness and a sense of loss, despite the numerous accolades she received. After a long and sometimes difficult life, Carey passed away on March 13, 1988, at the age of 92. While her death marked the end of an era for this enduring character actress, the personal grief she experienced throughout her life adds a layer of sadness to her otherwise impressive career. Richard Boon, who portrayed General Sam Houston in The Alamo, 1960, at the age of 43. As Houston, Boon brought strength and authority to the role, but his real-life struggles painted a different picture. His career, though successful, was filled with challenges. Boon's powerful screen presence often masked his personal turmoil. He was married 3 times, with his second marriage ending in an emotionally charged divorce. His personal demons, including alcoholism, strained relationships with family members, and an inability to connect emotionally, took a toll on him. Despite his status as a Hollywood icon, his life outside the spotlight was one of loneliness, and his health rapidly deteriorated in his later years. Boon's passing on January 10, 1981, at 63 from throat cancer, was a tragic end to a life that, though filled with professional triumphs, remained overshadowed by emotional scars and a battle against illness that he could not overcome. Fred Graham, who portrayed the bearded volunteer in The Alamo, 1960, at the age of 52. In his role as the rugged volunteer, Graham captured the indomitable spirit of a man willing to fight for freedom, but in his own life, he faced many personal and professional struggles. Graham's career never soared to the heights he had hoped, often relegated to bit parts in lesser-known films. His personal life was filled with conflict, having been married twice, both marriages ending in turmoil. Graham found it difficult to maintain relationships, and he grew distant from his children, struggling to connect with them emotionally. As the years passed, financial troubles mounted, and his quiet decline reflected the unfulfilled potential of a man who had never quite found the peace or recognition he sought. His death on October 10, 1979, at 70 from natural causes, though not unexpected, left a sense of sadness over a life that was too often overshadowed by hardship and unspoken grief. John Hopkins, who portrayed the Tennessean in The Alamo, 1960, was 42 when he took on the role of a loyal and brave soldier. Hopkins' performance brought life to his character, but his career in Hollywood was less successful than expected. Despite a few other roles, he was often cast in minor parts and struggled to gain recognition. Off-screen, Hopkins' personal life was filled with challenges. He was married twice, but both marriages ended in divorce, and he faced a deep sense of loneliness in his later years. His relationships with his children were strained, and he struggled with finances, living paycheck to paycheck. Hopkins' health also deteriorated, and he battled depression in his later years. His death on October 15, 1997, at the age of 79 from undisclosed causes, marked the end of a life that, despite his courage on screen, was filled with personal hardships and unfulfilled dreams. Chuck Hayward, who portrayed the Tennessean in The Alamo, 1960, at the age of 40. In his portrayal of the Tennessean, Hayward displayed courage and conviction, but his real-life battles were fraught with emotional and health struggles. Hayward's career as a character actor was often limited to supporting roles, and he rarely achieved the recognition his talents deserved. His personal life was marred by 2 difficult marriages, both of which ended in separation due to trust issues and emotional distance. His struggles with Hopkins' disease were compounded by the emotional toll of his isolation. As his health declined, Hayward withdrew from the public eye, and his later years were spent quietly, filled with regret and a sense of missed opportunities. He passed away on February 23, 1998, at 78 from Hopkins' disease. His death was the final chapter of a life full of battles, leaving behind a legacy of perseverance amid personal tragedies. Tom Hennessy, who played Bull in the Alamo, 1960, began his role at the age of 37, portraying a tough and resilient character that reflected the fierce determination of the Alamo defenders. Hennessy's career, however, never reached the heights one might expect for such a memorable role. Despite numerous appearances in films and television, he remained in the shadows of more prominent actors. His personal life was filled with struggles, as he was married 3 times, but each marriage ended in failure. His relationships were complicated, often marred by emotional distance and infidelity. His later years were filled with financial hardships and declining health, and he faced isolation from many of his former colleagues. Despite his best efforts, Hennessy could not escape the shadow of his past disappointments. He passed away on May 23, 2011, at the age of 87, his death marking the quiet end of a long life filled with unrealized potential and sadness. Jack Pennock, who portrayed Sergeant Lightfoot in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 65, embodied the discipline and courage of a seasoned leader. His character, steadfast and resolute, played a crucial role in the defense of the Alamo. Pennock's own life, however, was far from easy. He had been married twice, both times ending in heartbreak and emotional turmoil. His first marriage, which produced 2 children, ended in divorce due to the strain of his increasingly difficult career in Hollywood. His second marriage also faltered, plagued by his inability to maintain stable employment and the toll his emotional struggles took on his mental health. His later years were marked by financial instability, poor health, and a sense of isolation. Despite his enduring contributions to film, he lived a quiet, troubled life. Pennock passed away on August 16, 1964, at the age of 68, due to natural causes. Gil Perkins, who played the Tennessean in the Alamo in 1960 at the age of 53, was known for his portrayal of a resilient and unwavering character, embodying the perseverance of the men who stood their ground at the Alamo. Perkins' real life, however, was far less steadfast. Though he was married once and had children, his personal life was marked by deep emotional struggles. His marriage ended in divorce after years of conflict, and he found himself alone for much of his later life. Professionally, while his role in the Alamo was a significant moment, Perkins struggled to find lasting success in Hollywood, taking on smaller, often less fulfilling roles. Financial troubles compounded his woes, and he faced long periods of obscurity. Despite his early success, the latter part of his life was spent in isolation, battling depression and the loneliness that came with his declining career. Perkins passed away on March 28, 1999, at the age of 91, living the last years of his life in quiet solitude. Who's your favorite character from the Alamo? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.